Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is In A Barbie World,
The podcast where we look at every Barbie movie from 1987 to the present day.
from fairy tales to literary classics.
From Mariposa to Mermaidia.
It's time to get unboxed,
Readjust your lippy.
rock the ball gown.
And let's get our Barbie on.
Barbie, a perfect Christmas.
And Happy New Year to you as well.
Well, I didn't realise this was a musical.
No, me either.
What fun.
Yep, my favourite.
It's been so great. We've had such a good run of films lately, haven't we? They've been really good.
Yeah, and this one, you know, it's actually canonically part of a fairy secret and a fashion fairy tale.
Which I don't think makes it.
Which doesn't fix it.
I don't think it's
Because this was shit.
It wasn't great. It wasn't ideal.
It probably wasn't. Well, we'll get to it at the end. But I don't like musicals.
No.
At the best of times. But actually, when the musical bit is the best bit of the film,
Yeah.
I'm...
And the thing as well, more than anything, it could have been good. Like, it's not a bad premise. It's just there's a high bar now. It's not the worst thing we've ever seen.
Oh my god, it's no Thumbelina or anything like that.
But it's certainly nowhere near the best either.
No, well, we'll talk about it, but I'm intrigued how we're going to talk about the story because I didn't feel there was one.
There isn't a
There's a setup.
I was watching it and I was like, what is happening? Like, nothing is happening. Like, nothing is happening in this movie. How is it an hour and a half? How is it one of the longest Barbie movies we've ever seen?
Long credits.
And it's an hour and a half. Like, what is happening? Why am I still watching this movie?
Yeah, it was the biggest bit of nothing. Although, like I say,
yeah.
I think this is I think this general setup is something we're going to have to get used to, because when we get to phase 3, I think this is the kind of world that we're going to be living in. So we're still in phase 2 at the moment. All that.
Well, I was excited. I really was. I was excited because we loved those meta Barbie episodes where it was Barbie and Raquel and Ken. And so the premise of this is that she's joined by her sisters, Skipper, Stacey, and Chelsea, in case you're going to a pub quiz anytime soon. So I was really excited because I don't know where Shelley's gone.
So I can add some light to that. I believe Mattel rebranded Shelley Kelly as Chelsea at this time.
Why?
I don't know why.
No.
I've got a bigger question.
Okay.
Firstly, and I'm not the only person to ask this question, where their mum and dad? Right?
Yeah, is Barbie like a single mom?
No. I've done some research. Mum and dad are called, bear with me. I looked it up.
Funny
They've
names.
got a name. They've got
Okay.
a name. I've lost it. I had it in one of my lists. Doesn't matter. So they do. It's just they're mentioned in a later film. My bigger question is, Barbie's mum had an affair, didn't she?
Oh,
because why else is Skipper not look like any of her sisters?
She doesn't look, she doesn't sound like, she doesn't act like she is the black sheep of this family. To the point where, I know we sort of spoke about it very early on in the podcast, wasn't there, like, she's not I'm not going to go so far as to say that she's a brat, but even as a kid, I thought Skipper was like, was it Skipper or am I thinking of something else? There was like a Barbie wannabe in the like 90s and the early 2000s, but I can't think.
Oh, okay. I can't remember. Obviously, we had Cindy in the UK, but that goes back further.
That was it. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Cindy. So in my head, Skipper was Cindy.
I always thought Skipper was Barbie's friend. I didn't realise it was a sister. By the way, Margaret
Yeah.
and George.
Margaret and George. That's Barbie's
But
parents.
they don't get to make their animated debut until Barbie's Dreamhouse Adventures, which I think is the next. It's a phase along. But yes, and all I could think was that Margaret, because it would have had to have been Margaret, right? Otherwise, George would have got away with it, right? That's unless they're really, she's forgiven George, but yes, she just doesn't look anything like them. The others are just. I mean, not all. No, I do get it. Not all sisters look identical. Although in the Barbie cinematic universe, most people look identical to each other. So why she looks so different? And well, let's carry on, because there's other questions I've got about Skipper. Bearing in mind, I quite like Skipper. As
she's definitely the most endearing
of the 4 children in this movie.
Of the 4, and bear in mind, we've spent 21 movies with Barbie. Like, she should be the Buffy to our universe by now.
Absolutely, but this is another one where Barbie is sidelined. We've had a couple of these. In fact,
fully sidelined. This should not be called Barbie: A Perfect Christmas. It should be called Skipper: A Perfect Christmas, or God forbid, Chelsea: A Perfect Christmas,
or a Roberts Family Christmas.
Yeah. That would be cute.
Or something like that. It is, but obviously the Barbie. But yeah, Barbie's somewhat sidelined.
She's barely in it. She sounds weird. She sings weird. I don't know if it was just the version that I was watching, but it felt like someone had. You go to YouTube sometimes and you're like, sing Phantom of the Opera with me, and it's like the original movie version, and then someone's like dubbed themselves in on the Christine part. It feels like someone's done that for all of Barbie. I was like, this isn't the voice actress for Barbie. This is like someone on the internet is like dubbing in for Barbie, because it sounds so weird.
So this is. So that, again, another interest. I got a feeling we're talking more around this movie than about this movie, but that's okay. So again, done me work. So this is Diana Carina, who has been the Barbie voice for the last few times, but this is her last appearance because there was a fan backlash.
Oh, God.
So it will return to Kelly Sheridan in Barbie: A Mermaid Tale 2.
Right. Who we did admit that we
Well, it's ironic.
weren't massively missing. Yeah.
The last couple of movies, we've actually said, I didn't miss Kelly Sheridan. And this time...
Yeah. I really did.
And other people have. I mean, she
You
doesn't do that.
fucking
To be
did.
fair, I don't think Diana Carina does the singing voice. I think that's another person altogether. But it was... It's just weird. Especially the song she sings on her own. So yes, the singing voice is somebody, Jennifer Warris.
Sorry, Jennifer, but you didn't even try to sound like Barbie.
But that-
And maybe that was the point. Maybe you were trying to branch out and do some stuff that was different. But
Well,
like, if it ain't broke, don't
And
fix
it's
it.
just weird because every other song is like, I don't know, Avril Lavigne type.
Yeah, it's like 2000s pop.
Yeah, sort of heavy on the synth, quite a sort of general liberal dose of auto tune, but it's fine. It's not as good as there was a movie a couple ago where I really liked the music, which is rare for me, and I didn't find it offensive. I didn't find it offensive apart from that one song that I'm guessing it's the song she sings on her own that you're referring to, when she's for some reason gets out of bed, even though she's gone to bed fully clothed, but they had all their clothes with them because they were going to stay in New York. So were they going to be fully clothed in bed? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty certain girls don't wear their leggings in bed, but Barbie does.
Some do.
Anyway.
And it's snowing outside.
True.
So.
Yeah, I'm of all the problems I've got with this movie.
Barbie's leggings are not up there.
But she does a little song saying, "Oh," and it's all sad, but it's done in the style of a musical. No.
It's her like I Wish song.
Yeah, it instrumentally it does not sound like the rest of the music in this film, so it's all just a bit weird.
No.
And you're right, and it doesn't have the. It's not animated very interestingly. For some reason, she starts doing ballet moves to dance with it half time.
Honestly, it's like they didn't quite know what they were doing with this one. Having come off films again, I just can't. I can't take it for its own thing. I have to put it in with all the other things that we've been watching. Everything else has been really nicely animated, really well voice acted, and really thoughtful with strong messaging and good structure. And this was just a fucking boring mess. And like, it was fine. I was writing, I was like, this is harmless and fun, but it's nothing special. And then it kept going, and I was like, oh,
Well,
getting
and it
out.
sits, it sits in that fairy secret fashion fairy tale universe, and they there's a shared character, and they explicitly reference something that happens in
Yeah.
in the first film, but there's no, those films had this mix of magic and reality, and this idea that there are other
Hmm.
sort of realms going on at the same time, and there was a bit of world building. This one, wink, wink, nudge, nudges to maybe Father Christmas exists, but
Yeah.
fails to fucking commit to it one way or the other.
Yeah,
It goes,
literally, it's so
it
weird.
goes out of its way to say no, 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 that's not what's happening here. To,
Yeah.
well, my uncle's very busy on Christmas Eve. Wink.
Or like very early on, Chelsea's basically they end up in some fucking abandoned warehouse and it's all like Christmassy, and we're met by this woman called like Christy Clausen, and they've got the Elf family, which just then means that everybody's mispronouncing elf for the rest of the movie, and it really grated on me. Because then Chelsea's trying to push like this is clearly where Father Christmas lives, and again it just turns into like the chosen family trope where it's like, oh, you couldn't get to New York for your perfect Christmas, but you're gonna learn a valuable lesson here in like Lapland, and it's like, God, except it's not Lapland, it's like
In
Minneapolis or something. It's just
Tannenbaum.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which, again, I wasn't. So, let's just talk about the premise. So, the four of them who live in Los Angeles, I think, with
Yep.
the biggest sofa couch in the world. I don't know if you noticed, but that they live in that
I know.
semicircular house, and there's a green sofa that is bigger than a bus. So even
It's
if
a very
Margaret,
glam house.
even if Margaret and George live there as well, don't know where they are.
Well, we know Barbie has a nice house from Barbie Christmas Carol. The last time we had
True.
our opener
This
closer
couch,
of Barbie's
this
like
couch has
mansion.
bothered me. You could fit 150 people in that room, and
Barbie is a movie star.
yeah, but she is, of course, she is a famous actress. So we don't know where Mum and Dad are, but the four children for
No.
Christmas, and bear in mind, Chelsea can't be older than 5. I don't know any
Yeah,
parents that would
Chelsea's
send
like
their
school
kids
age.
off to
No.
that, to see their aunt in New York
Yeah.
and Skipper's friend Zoe,
Yeah.
who's having a show on Christmas Eve, because of course she is.
Weird.
But remember, that aunt lives in Paris. So why they're all
Yeah.
meeting in New York? No idea. But I'm worried about the
God knows.
parents.
I guess it's closer.
So that's all
Yeah.
a bit weird. So they go off, and then, as always in America, it's snowing. I mean, they leave with a couple of days spare. They don't leave on Christmas Eve, and they end up,
Yeah, they're not dum
like you
dums.
say, in Tenenbaum, Minnesota, or something. Which, by the way, is not the same Tenenbaum as the Wikipedia article links to. Which links to a completely different town called Tenenbaum, which apparently is German for Christmas tree. Again, I'm not sure if that's true or not. Doesn't.
Okay.
Anyway, some reason they're driving around. I don't know what the driving bit was about in a rented car. I maybe it wasn't.
They were trying to get to another. They were trying to get to the Minnesotan airport because it's bigger and more flight. Because their flight got grounded
Yeah,
because of the storm. So they were driving to another airport
I
in order to try and get a flight onto New York from there. But they end up in this inn instead, and they for some reason just decide to stay
when you
there.
say inn,
Probably because
you
it's
mean
safer.
giant warehouse, because
Yeah, like factory.
it's like, and also with a porthole in the front door, which.
Yeah, weird. But like very North Pole.
Yeah, and and Chelsea right away says, "Look, I know what this is. This is fucking Santa's workshop. They're the elves."
Yeah, you can't fucking fool me.
And then they completely diss that whole thing.
Yeah, they're like, shut up.
Yeah, look, these aren't elf ears. These are in-ear mics and things like that.
Yeah.
And so they get that, but then as the film goes on, they just repeat this thing 3 or 4 times until the people denying it just stop denying it. They never say yes. They just say, do you know what?
Yeah.
We don't care. So,
Like, whatever.
So there is room. There's nobody else staying there, by the way, so no wonder there was room. There's no other guests.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a weird old inn run by this Christy Christmas woman. Sorry I'm taking over today, but this is really... this is a very different episode, people. Normally Emily tells us what's going on. So Christy Christmason, or whatever her name is...
Christy
Clausen, who is one of those people that just loves Christmas. And you must...
Oh, she just loves Christmas.
And you've got to wonder, what's she like for the other 364 days of the year?
Well, this is the thing. Like, she's clearly Mrs. Claus, so she just lives in this world consistently. Like, this is her life.
And she's not that annoying. I do know people that really fucking love Christmas.
Yeah. She's fine, and to be honest, we've had like a couple of songs by this point, and originally I was like, "Oh my god, these songs are cool! Like I'm really digging them. I'm gonna seek out the soundtrack and listen to them, and maybe add them to my Christmas playlists going forward because they're bops, and they were keeping me afloat for quite some time."
I think like I said myself, the music is the saving grace here. Apart from that one song, which just felt. I'm not going to
just a bit out of place.
I'm not going to comment on the technical nature of it because I can't sing. Obviously, that's your job. But it did not feel like it matched.
No, you're right.
Or really, often songs. The reason the song's there is to stop you having a 20-minute scene discussing stuff, so you can talk about inner feelings and drive that side. So Barbie's a bit upset she's not going to get to New York for Christmas. That doesn't deserve a song. We knew that already.
It doesn't deserve a song, and Barbie herself doesn't seem to have much of an arc in this movie because the whole dynamic is that Barbie is trying to be the best sister that she can be and remain optimistic and keep everyone in check. And it's everyone else, like Chelsea and Stacey have a whole thing, and Skipper hates on Barbie a lot, and like it's just like sisters fighting and spitting at each other. But Barbie consistently has the moral high ground, as she should, because she's clearly like 27 when everyone else is like 16 and below.
But obviously in this universe she's only 16, so that's another...
Barbie is not 16, and if she is, then her parents need to explain themselves as to why she's such a young
well, exactly,
the
whole thing. Now, you've pointed out, so the rest of the movie basically then is there's 2 storylines. One is that Stacey and Chelsea are fucking annoying. However, quite realistic. As a father of 2 daughters that were about those ages, spot on. But Will does give me... I like to have a little look on Letterboxd, other people's little short reviews. My favourite. I'm not going to say who it's by. There are issues here. So, but I think it captures the zeitgeist of the of Chelsea. I want to stab Chelsea, then throw her body in a ditch, then blow her head off with a shotgun. Then plant bombs around her body and watch her limbs parts fly everywhere. Now, I don't approve of doing this to fictional characters.
Wow, especially young women.
But there is a huge amount. That is just the most excessive element of...
I think what we can take from that is that whilst realistic, the character of Chelsea is quite annoying. A bit weird. There's a bit where she's like, I'll sing for you, and she sings a Christmas song that's like, it's Christmas and the goose is fat, make sure that you put a bunny in your hat, or something like that, and it's like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
But she's only like 5 or 6. It's
you?
Actually Stacey I fucking hate because
Stacey should know better.
Well, that's right, but my 2 daughters, who are now in their 20s, are still like that sometimes. I get it.
Stop copying me.
Yeah, they still do that. And so bless them. So there is a realism, but there doesn't need to be 4 of the fuckers. And then Skipper is... Not only does she not look like any of her sisters... And it's not just the hair colour, it's the face model, it's her voice, it's everything about her. And you know,
Mm.
some of that needs to be applauded that she's different. It's just why just Stacey and Chelsea that just are mini annoying Barbies. She's also a vlogger and a pop star or something. But for some reason, she goes by the name on her blog. And maybe you can explain this to me. Why does she go by the name? Oh, I've lost it. PJ something. Oh, I've lost it now. I have all these notes written down, but yeah, she goes like PJ Sherman or something. What? Why? Why isn't she going name as Skipper? Got a perfectly good, unique name, and I didn't.
I know, right?
And I didn't really
I want to
understand.
find out what it is. Skipper blog name Barbie.
And it's a really popular blog because some randos in Tenenbaum say
Yeah.
it's what did they call it? Essential viewing.
Oh, Skipper was created to counteract criticism that claimed Barbie was a sex symbol. Her facial appearance was meant to be gentler, and Barbie would baby. So instead of having Barbie married and pregnant, making her too domestic, Barbie would babysit Skipper.
Hmm.
Um,
I think I've heard this before. And Skipper as little sister, I think is all right. But of course, she's not little
she's
sister now.
sweet, but
She's
yeah, she then newer versions gave her, made her older eventually.
hmm. And I like it. And there's some nice things that are going to go on. Skipper's going to appear in a few of these movies, and there's some nice stuff that they do with her hair and things like that. That's kind of interesting. In fact, her hair changed during this movie as well. And so Skipper's problem is that she's not Barbie. That's her personal problem, and that she feels that
Yeah.
Barbie just kills everything. Not literally, not like that poor movie reviewer, but but you know, that she's just so good at everything. Everything she does comes off. And to be fair to Barbie, she says, well, yeah, that is true. but she
Yeah.
does rely on everybody else's help, and she doesn't actually do everything. So Skipper's got a real inferiority complex with her big sister,
Yeah, she really
even though she
does.
does things that her sister can't do. That
Yeah.
is the reference to the fashion show that was in A Fashion Fairy Tale is something that's upset Skipper, even though she wasn't there.
She literally wasn't there.
We didn't even know she existed at the time because the only
Literally. And Barbie only went because she thought Ken had broken up with her. So it really has nothing to do with her teenage sister. Like, get out of your own asshole, Skipper. No offense, but like, chill out a bit.
but again,
But also, I get it.
yeah, for sure. But again,
I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, Barbie. You can just fuck off to Paris whenever you like and see Aunt Millicent. Jeez.
but that's the story. The story is they get stuck somewhere for Christmas. Skipper gets a bit stressed because she can't organise a gig for as well as Barbie could, and gets control freaky about it. And Stacey and Chelsea have sister arguments, and Chelsea gets lost for 15 minutes. And that's not a story. I
No.
know a lot of them have been based on quests and things like that, or or based on genuine historic, proper.
They've been really good. Like, I'm actually scrolling through some of the Letterboxd reviews, and so many people sum it up so well. Where it's like, I had so much more fun immediately after this finished. It's so true.
But it's
A lot of people say it had good horror movie potential, and I think they're right. Like, if this had been a horror movie, this would have been exceptional. But instead, it's
yeah.
just a horror of a
If you
movie
amp up the weirdness of the Christmas
of it
people,
all.
if you amp up the horror of being stuck out in the snow, if you amp up the horror of this weird dog sanctuary where all the dogs are forced to wear fake reindeer Rudolph horns and
Yeah.
are all Crufts level trained. Like, they're meant to be
Yeah,
rescue
it's
dogs. Rescue dogs.
they're rescue dogs.
Go-
They've been taught to jump through hoops. Like,
but they're
oh.
all brilliant at it. And then there's one dog that gets a special. There's like a little sort of mini husky type dog, isn't there? That Chelsea gloms onto, and if I remember rightly, it disappears 3/4 of the way through the movie and is never seen again.
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't paying that much
Yeah,
attention.
but it's just there's nothing. There's no threat. There's no antagonist.
No, there's no antagonist. The songs can only get you through so much. All of them are annoying. There's not even a real like love interest, which usually I'm all here for, but at this point I was like,
Well,
somebody fuck someone,
there's a
please.
pseudo Ken, right? That
Yeah.
only gets
But
one
we know she
scene.
can't bang because Ken exists, so we
But the
can't
pseudo
have
Ken's
a
more.
like where was Ken turning up at the
No,
end? Usually I'm all for like feminist
but the
Barbie, but
pseudo Ken was more interested in Skipper anyway, but only appears
well,
in
yeah,
two
because Barbie's
scenes.
with Ken. Yeah,
But it is the
they
Ken
don't even
model,
hook up.
right?
What's the point? Oh yeah.
So what's that about? I mean, there's a fucking story for you. Skipper and Barbie fight over the same Ken. That would be something would be going on, but there's
No, but they never do and they never would, and I'm glad that they wouldn't. But like, at least let Ken come for Christmas. Like, come on, man. Like, because Ken's been really endearing and funny for
yeah.
the last few movies. So like, if we're gonna go back to Meta Barbie, bring us back in Meta Ken. And they can reminisce about how remember that one time he was kidnapped by fairies and wasn't that funny? Like, just it's like this is literally like going home for Christmas and having to be with your family. It sucks.
And yeah, and it's the third Christmas movie. It's the last Christmas movie, and it's the weakest Christmas movie because I think Christmas Carol
Yeah. Christmas Carol was
was a
great.
lot of
It
fun.
was really good stuff.
What's the other Christmas? Oh, and the other one's the Nutcracker.
Oh, and I really like the Nutcracker as well.
Well, now I do. I think at the time, I think I was. I think I struggled with. I didn't mind a lot of the Nutcracker. At least it had a story and a quest, and there were characters in it that were
Yeah.
memorable. You know, maybe a couple of characters memorable for the wrong reasons, and I had questions. I don't have any questions about this other than about the
No.
actual
page of
reality of the
notes.
Roberts family. I want to know where Mum
Yeah.
and Dad are. I want to know who Skipper's dad is.
Yeah.
You know, and again, if this is a soap opera, we've got some good stuff here, but it's not. It's a Barbie
Oh
movie.
yeah, but it's not. It's a weird, meandering, boring musical with creepy squirrels and weird voice
Yeah, I did have to
acting.
look up about squirrels. I thinking they don't bounce. Aren't they hibernating in the winter? And actually, no, they don't hibernate.
No, I think they're fine.
Well,
but
they
they're
go
still
very sleepy.
blame. It wanted to be Scrap from Ice Age, and it just
Didn't
wasn't.
it just? That's exactly
Oh,
what
I
I
wanted
thought.
so bad.
Just there's a whole scene which is like every time you see one of the adverts for the Ice Age movies, you know that they is it what's the character called?
They push on Scrat. It's always
Like
Scrat.
with his nuts or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there's
yeah.
always a sort of a mini adventure that happens in the trailer, sort of thing.
He's an icon and a dream, and we're all here for him. But this squirrel wanted to. It's like, stop making Scratch happen. You can't make Scrat happen. Like, it would just. It's like, stop, squirrel.
And
You're half the weird rodent creature Scrat is.
and yeah, so this squirrel, but it just visually it sort of fills up the screen. Then it bothers dogs, and these dogs which are incredibly well trained but easily distracted by a fucking squirrel.
You know, this isn't the 1950s. We don't need our animated movie to be taken up by like adventures of animals that don't talk.
Yeah,
Like, it's so boring.
yeah, and there are a lot of them. Just yeah, it's just it's reasonably well made. It doesn't look as good as the last two movies, but
It really doesn't. And I wondered, because I'm very grateful to the fact that I actually managed to find this copy online and I didn't have to rent it because it's not on Netflix and I don't have the DVD for it. So I went elsewhere and luckily I found a copy.
so after 20
that I
movies,
didn't have
this is our 20.
to
This is the
invest
21st
in.
animated movie, and my DVD worked. It
Hey!
came in a double set, right? I've got Christmas Carol, A Perfect Christmas in
Oh,
in a
nice.
double
That's
set.
cute.
Christmas Carol doesn't work. I had to find Christmas
Oh,
Carol
no.
off a weird internet site, but I thought they were all on Netflix now.
Yeah, I thought they were. But some of the old ones are on Netflix and some of the new ones are on Netflix, but like this one wasn't, and I don't know what would be next. But
Barbie, it's Mermaid Tale
yeah.
2 next, I think.
Oh, and I think that's on Netflix, so we should be
Good.
fine. But
Yeah, it's
it
weird.
was annoying.
Of all the fucking ones to work, this and Thumbelina.
I know.
Actually, I don't think
It's
Thumbelina
you're
did. Actually,
welcome.
if I remember rightly, I had to rent Thumbelina, which is
Oh God! Oh yeah, that was part of the like sticking it
And
like
and don't get me wrong,
salt into the wound.
Thumbelina is terrible compared to
Oh,
this.
it's shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know that's got way more. But this doesn't feel like a feature film. And I know we're getting to the point
No.
soon where they cease being sold for retail and they only exist on Nickelodeon and now streaming platforms.
But that's not an excuse because High School Musical was a Disney
Mm,
Channel movie and it's iconic.
oh, for sure.
So,
But it just feels like an episode of a TV show. It feels like a Christmas
it does,
episode
yeah.
of an animated TV
Of a
show.
long going, yeah, TV show, a long
And
running
maybe,
TV show. It's so true.
um,
It's so meandering and pointless. What's the lesson here? Don't be shit to your sisters. They're
well,
sisters
I think
and they're like
isn't the
children.
lesson families bicker,
Family's more important than
but
going to New York for
we can get
Christmas.
past it.
Yeah.
Or
But also going to New York for Christmas would have been good.
yeah, they could have done Home Alone, couldn't they? Barbie Home Alone.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, I was thinking. I had something really witty to say then you distracted me, giving me another
Sorry.
option. What it is, it's a bit like Cliff Richard's summer holiday film, where they just do the show right here, and that's it. But
Another boring, meandering musical.
without the
With a
banging
great main
songs
character.
and a bus or Una Stubbs
Yeah.
or anything else. Which I don't know how you feel about summer holiday, but right now I'd rather watch that than this, and I don't think I'd ever say that in any other world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it's not egregiously horrible. It's just boring.
Yeah, it's just boring. There's nothing inherently wrong
And
with
yet,
it. And that's what I was writing. I was like, it's fun, it's harmless. I'm finding some joy in it. And then by the end, I was like, my joy was drained.
and it's
by the
not
end.
because we watched it 2 weeks after Christmas, right? It is,
No.
obviously we've timed these, both Christmas Carol and this, incredibly badly.
Yeah, really bad.
I think there was a point we did have a plan, didn't we, where we'd get
We could have hit Barbie: A Perfect Christmas for Christmas, but we napped instead.
yeah,
So.
and I'm glad, because this would have put a real sour taste in my whole Christmas period.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ruined Christmas.
yeah, that was the best. That was the best way of doing it. So yes, I'm just checking that the next one is, yes, Mermaid Tale 2.
Yeah, okay. I'm excited for that.
I'm
gonna try
Are
it
you?
anyway. I'm excited that it's on Netflix.
No, I think
Um,
I'm. Yeah.
So I've got one thing that was funny, was Christy Clausen is introduced by being like, well, we're gonna have a jolly good time, or my name isn't Christy Clausen. And Chelsea goes, is your name Christy Clausen? That was actually really funny. It was good. And then they sang a song about Christmas, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go download this album. Like these songs are good.
I thought
They're
the
great.
opening song was good, and
Opening song was great. Christmas song was great. Barbie's song was fine in a different movie.
yeah, and then
Everything Skipper sang was great. To be fair.
I do you know what they actually, the one thing I didn't like they did. So at the end they set up a concert, and a concert of one song after an interminable dog show, which is
Yeah, the crafts, full like crafts.
it's not as bad, it's not as bad as some films I've seen, but yeah, she sings one song, but they cut away from it for a whole bit of chit chat, and you think,
Oh god, and then and again, I think this is a letterbox review that I saw, but Aunt Millicent, fashion guru, who had to convince an entire airline that they would receive custom-made gowns from her new fashion line in order to get to where the children are. Mum and Dad couldn't make it, but Aunt Millicent's here, and they all turn up. They're like just Barbie, Chelsea, Stacey, and Skipper. They are wearing the most disgusting outfits. Like, we've seen some pretty bad stuff here in the mid 2000s. Some of it's nostalgic, some of it not so. Every single one of their outfits are firstly absolutely ridiculous for standing out in the snow and disgusting to look at. Like, they look abhorrent. Like, Millicent should have turned up and been like, I need all of you to go inside and change right now. Like, I can't be seen with you.
And
So
and
bad.
I saw that. I think I saw the same review or a similar one, basically saying you've got, what on earth did fashion maestro Aunt Millicent think of what the fuck they were wearing?
Yeah. It's just everything that was bad about the 2000s and then some. It was like somebody decided to branch out with their imagination, but their imagination should have been kept tightly locked up in a box. Like,
Again, I don't normally comment on such things, but especially whatever the fuck Stacey and Chelsea were wearing didn't even look like clothes. They look like Christmas presents, little white Christmas presents.
literally. And what sucks is that we've seen them do Christmassy themed outfits in things like the Nutcracker, and they're charming and cute and pretty and festive there. They're just ugly and in like it doesn't make any like you're like they're wearing like spaghetti vests in like sub-degree temperatures. Ridiculous.
This could be.
Another
I think this is going to
letterbox.
be our shortest show
Yes.
by about
I've
an
literally run
hour.
out of things. I'm literally on Letterbox just like reading
I
things
know
out
that's my
now.
new thing. I like the Barbie wiki, and now I've got into. I've only recently. Well, I guess I've only used Letterbox for a year. So last year I just recorded every film I watched, and
Mhm.
and now I've expanded out to every film I watch. I read other people's reviews, and
Yeah,
after
it's
finding
fun.
out how highly rated the last film was, and there were thousands
Yeah.
of reviews, it's now a thing. But this one has a mix of 2 word, yeah, Barbie, great reviews, which are just generic, or
Yeah.
some really quite biting comments, and I love it.
But-
And they must be our
yeah.
audience as well. They must be feeling the same as us.
Well, here's the thing, like it's we never come to these episodes intending to be you. I mean, if you've followed us now for a while, um, you know that we really try and see the best out of these things. We're not trying to be bitter or sarcastic about these. We want them to do well because we have to fucking watch them. And so I mean, there's one letterbox review here that says my disappointment is immeasurable and my Christmas is ruined. And I think it sums it up as well because we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. There's no reason why this should have been as bad as it was. Absolutely no excuse for it.
And it's a Christmas movie. So one of the things about a Christmas
How
movie
can you
is
go wrong?
is that it should have replayability.
Yes.
It may well have to stand on its own, which is weird. There was no reason, by the way, for Aunt Millicent and A Fairy Secret and all that to be folded into this.
Tied up.
Weird,
Yeah.
weird, 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 weird. It could have been tied up with any of the other realities that Barbie lives in. But I don't know the target audience. Would they want to rewatch this? I mean, the songs, like I say, the songs are all right.
Songs are really good, and I can totally imagine you getting swept up in the songs as a child and then suffering through the rest of it for the
But if
songs. And then when you become an adult, you'll just listen to the
but if
songs
you
and not
put a
watch the
gun to
movie.
my head and said I had to watch this next Christmas rather than A Christmas Carol or even the Nutcracker, I'd say pull the trigger.
Yeah, I'd much rather watch the other two again. I had seen the other two before as well. That's what's interesting. I'd already watched A Christmas Carol before we came to it, and I'd already seen the Nutcracker before we came to it. Whereas this was brand new. So if anything, it should have been fresher, and yet.
Also, have you seen Skipper on the cover? Doesn't even look like Skipper.
Oh, covers are weird, man. We're getting into that territory where covers are just
That
weird.
fucking dog's on there. Anyway.
So, yeah. This movie ended with the four of them turning to camera, dead-eyed,
Yeah.
like, have a Merry Christmas. And I was like, oh my God, she's gonna come for me. Like, it was terrifying.
It was. There was a whole sort of Stepford Barbie about the whole thing, wasn't it?
It was very weird. They looked weird, they sounded weird. Everything just sounded a bit off. Like it was, like it's been made outside of the usual studios, but then distributed by the normal studios, where it's just sort of like fan made. Again, like it all just felt a bit odd. Like it's
It was. I
very,
mean, it
very
was.
strange.
It was. I think it's still mainframe. I think it's still. The models look like the ones from A Mermaid Tale. That's what it reminded me. When it first popped onto screen before I'd suffered the full horror, I thought, oh, this doesn't look quite the same as the last couple of movies. It looked much more like A Mermaid Tale, but then you go down this rabbit hole of what models are being used for what, and they're all coming from the same place. They're all adding.
Yeah.
They're all adding to how many Canadian movies I've watched in a year. But yes, yeah, disappointed.
Oh, interesting. Sorry, I'm just in the trivia section.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is Skipper's first appearance and Chelsea's first appearance after her name was changed from Kelly.
All right, so we're gonna the whole Shelley Kelly joke we can now drop after 20. We'll
Yeah.
have to call her
After
Chelsea.
22 movies. Yeah, so she's Chelsea, Stacey. Has Stacey existed before now? Probably because she's not mentioned as being new here, but I don't remember her. Sorry, Stacey. Make more of an impact next time.
Yeah, be nice to your
Love
sister.
Skipper. Happy to have her. Um, yeah, interesting. So in terms of the leaderboard, we've mentioned that we prefer a Nutcracker, so it sort of has to go under that, right?
It does. So what are... I've lost... Let me go. I need to find our Barbie leaderboard. Bear with me.
So at the end of the rainbow, as it were, we have Fairytopia, Magic of the Rainbow in last place, then Barbie and the Diamond Castle, then Thumbelina, then A Mermaid Tale, then Rockers Out of This World, and then it's the Nutcracker. So it's whether we think Barbie A Perfect Christmas is better than Barbie and the Rockers Out of This World, or worse. Is it better than A Mermaid Tale? We know it's better than Thumbelina, so it's just going to be in that little squiggly section between
Yeah.
19 and
I mean,
17.
it's amazing that Nutcracker is down at 16.
Right, well, I was looking at earlier as I was thinking where to put this, and actually, as we go down, none of them are bad. Like, to Barbie's credit, out of the 22 movies that are on this list currently, 18 upwards, I would say I enjoyed. And they're only there because other things are better. That's all. They just keep getting pushed down because
I'd
other things are
agree.
better. The only things I would say, if somebody asked me, are the Barbie movies any good? I'd be like, well, out of 22, 4 of them are bad.
Yeah.
Like, actively bad.
A Mermaid
So, well
Tale,
done,
Thumbelina, Diamond Castle, Magic of the Rainbow. All bad
bad.
for different reasons, which is the other thing.
Mm.
And as much as I've got problems with Barbie and the Rockers Out of This World thing,
Yeah.
I'd rather watch those two films again.
This is the thing. At this point, I'm like, yeah, but she went to space,
Yeah.
man.
Now,
So, like...
Magic of the Rainbow, I think, is objectively horrible and ruins my
Yeah.
memory of two other movies. Diamond
Yes.
Castle's got those two fucking dogs in it, and the whole
Hate.
rapey thing, and just
Hate.
a lot of stuff. Thumbelina was terrible. A Mermaid
Hate.
Tale, you hated. I just thought it was
Did.
repetition of what went before.
And I was enjoying A Perfect Christmas.
Mm.
I thought it was harmless and fun. As we've spoken about it, I think it's more boring. I do think Mermaid Tale perhaps has a better structure.
At
Like, it
least
is a
Mermaid Tale's got
better-
a story. It's a story we'd seen before. And then they try it, but the reason it gets even worse is because then we see other films that take the same general idea and just execute it much better.
Yeah.
However, again,
The songs are really good in this.
yeah. So I think I would put it at number 18, right? Because
Yeah, so between Mermaid Tale and Rockers Out of This World.
I don't want. Because it'd be very easy for us just to put Rockers Out of This World way down this. And there's nothing wrong with Rockers Out of This World at all.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
Whereas there is stuff wrong with Mermaid Tale. So that's where this belongs.
Nice, I'll agree with that. Yeah, in at 18, Barbie, A Perfect Christmas, or, well, a not so perfect Christmas.
Yeah, I just love looking at this list because it's just
I
not.
know.
It's just not come out how I was expecting at all.
Yeah. I know, I'm still shooketh that in the top 4, we've got some really late entries.
And stuff which we really enjoyed, like
Yeah.
I don't know, like A Christmas Carol feels
Yeah.
hidden away in number 12, mid-table, but it was really good. I also feel I've had an oversized voice because Island Princess and Barbie Diaries are much higher because of me.
But also, you know what? When I think back to them, I'm like, oh yeah, I'd give Barbie as the Island Princess a rewatch. Like I really would. Whereas I wouldn't really want to rewatch A Perfect Christmas, and I definitely wouldn't want to rewatch anything beneath A Perfect
No,
Christmas.
exactly. And I think this is our sort of, although it's down the bottom, I think this film will be like a
Like a buffer?
it's something we've got to look at. Right? Everything below this is objectively bad, so we now know
Yes.
exactly where to put that, and anything which is even vaguely entertaining is better than this. So it is
Yeah.
our 0 degrees Kelvin.
So bar. Yes, that's so true.
Because it's nothing. It's not
Yeah.
offended either of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are things in those bottom four films that literally upset one or both of us. I'm still getting hives looking at those dogs. Diamond Castle. So yeah, it's just a shame. The shame is, but this happens every time, doesn't it? We have these runs of good movies, and then one lets the house down.
Yeah, it's
Lets
so
the house
true.
down? What does that even mean, Stephen?
It's like a
Lets the side
casino
down.
term.
Yeah. God, Jesus Christ, I've lost it.
Yeah. Yeah, you have. Yeah. Yeah, like not what I was expecting. We've had such a good run of them that I was really I was thrilled when this opened as a musical and the song was good, and then it just I'd have preferred them to have gone to New York and got to see their adventures there rather than end up in some random inn. However, I will say Barbie's Christmas aesthetic in the opening is what I hope my future home looks like at Christmas. Like pink Christmas tree, pink sparkly jackets, pink snow stuff, like just all really solid Christmas Barbie aesthetic. Like big fan um
I just
of
assumed that
that.
is how you ran your Christmas, Emily.
Yes.
I've never seen a pink Christmas tree before, quite like this. I have seen.
I have one,
You have a pink Christmas tree.
but not quite like this. No,
No, well,
mine's quite small.
what I think you need to do this year is really think long and hard about yourself and get a Christmas tree like this.
I know, right?
I think you need to
really do.
focus all your attentions and finances on getting a
That's
Christmas
my
tree.
priority. Oh, for real.
Then your life will be
For
complete.
real. I think it will. I think that'll solve every single one of my problems.
Yeah.
So.
Do you know what? Actually, there is quite a lot of nice Christmas. If you like Christmas iconography, there's quite a lot of it in here. All they needed to do was make that fucking inn about a third of the size, so it didn't look like everything was like a church hall.
Yeah, yeah.
Like every room was like a church hall, and it was totally. And either it was overdone with the decorations, or it looked overly sparse and decorations were just in different places. And you know, Christmas isn't necessarily my favourite time of year, I think, and trying to reset it so that Father Christmas lives in fucking Midwest America is a fucking weird thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, what was wrong with Lapland?
They plane could have crashed in like Lapland
Or
something.
Alaska,
Like,
even
I don't
somewhere
know.
genuinely
Somewhere
near the
like
Arctic Circle.
not there. Yeah, and it is inherently Christmassy. If you are going to sit down and watch this with kids, like a lot of Christmas music, like royalty-free Christmas music runs throughout, and it's cute enough. Like watch it if your kid wants you to watch it. You're not going to have the worst time in the world, but like it's no, last week went in at number 5. So that's what we're dealing with.
And it's lacking Portia, who I know is never going to be in another film again.
Oh my God, what an icon.
But I've got to say, when we finish this podcast in 24 episodes time.
I thought you were going to say like 24, 32.
No. I think we're going to get somewhere, or at least when we get to the movie, what we should do is cast our perfect Barbie movie. And
Oh my God.
if the listeners would like something like that, where we'll take our
Yes.
favourite characters and storyline and make our own perfect Barbie movie.
Oh my
And
God.
I insist that Portia is part of it, but I will, cast her in a more sympathetic role.
Yeah.
So there's something for you to think about. We'll have
I love her.
People on other podcasts call it a draft or something, don't they? Let's have our own
I don't
Barbie
know.
draft, and we'll
Oh, I love it.
let's pose some questions, plot, characters.
Yeah. And like you can I'm really bad at this, but like you can engage with us. We're on Twitter at Why This Film Pod. I know it's hard because it's like two podcasts merged into one. Didn't think about this. But you can engage with us as well over on Anchor. I think there's a way to engage.
There is. You can leave us voice
and
messages. You can
leave us messages. We're over on YouTube. You can leave us comments over there. Why This Film Podcast. In A Barbie World. But so like do engage if you have thoughts. But also don't feel like you have to.
Because we're having a blast, and we know people are
We're
listening.
having the best time.
And we know people are listening to us. So come and
People
talk
are
to
at
us.
least downloading the episodes, whether they then listen to them, I don't know.
Well, if you've never listened to this, thank you for downloading this. It all helps with the engagement. But you'll never know that we're grateful. Maybe we've just got loads of bots around the world downloading our podcast.
Yeah.
Right. I think we've polished this turd enough, haven't we? Oh, sorry, Barbie, but no.